into the sixth war, and I worry about that position. Iran is a threat because they have some militants there. But believe me, they're all around the world, and they're all around the world, and they're not a whole lot different than others. Iran does not have an air force that can come here. They can't even make enough gasoline for themselves. And here we are, building this case out, please. They're building up this case just like we did in Iraq. Build up the war propaganda. There was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and they had nuclear weapons, and we had to go in. I'm sure.
For him to worry about going over that line, I don't know where the evidence is. No, they don't have evidence. I think he overstated in the first place, and he shouldn't be in a dilemma. He should just stay out of it.
What if they did have unequivocal evidence, Congressman? In other words, more than the former President Bush on weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, that we did have unequivocal proof that Bashar Assad is using these weapons, in fact, routinely against his own people?
Well, look how many hundreds of millions of people were killed in the 20th century by bad regimes. I would say that the likelihood of that happening is slim, so I would still argue the case for staying out of it unless they were using it against us and affecting our national security. But they couldn't possibly use them against us if we weren't in their backyard. I mean, we're in Jordan, and I'm sure we have plenty of CIA agents already in Syria. We support the Syrian rebels, so we're already very much involved. So whether you're machine gunned or gassed or a drone missile kills you, it's still very, very dangerous. But I think we're looking for trouble by being there, and the answer to your question is no, just because there's evidence that they might, that they do have a weapon. I would say that it's not a justification to send our young people over there to get killed.
In other words, killing people is killing people, whether you're doing it through chemical weapons or shooting them in the street.
Yeah, and you want to minimize that, and the responsibility for an American public official should be to make sure Americans don't get involved needlessly and don't get involved in the internal affairs of other nations, and don't set the stage for a lot of Americans being killed. So there's a lot of responsibility there, but I think going in is the worst thing to do, especially under these circumstances, especially because it would take a lot of convincing to have the American people actually believe that Assad is a threat to us and actually has weapons that we're threatened by. They've been through those lies again. They're not going to buy into it this time. I think they're healthy, skeptical of this right now.
And we're a lot poorer than we were when prior threats were made, right? So we don't have the money to do this. We can put it as we do so much else on a credit card, I guess. But your point is what, whether we can afford this or not, we just dig a deeper hole every time we do?
Yeah, and that's part of the reason. But the first reason is we don't have the moral imperative to go there. We don't have the legal authority to do it. It never works. It backfires on us. In the climax of the whole argument, we don't have any money. And this is what brings great nations down. They think they own the world, and they spread themselves around too much. It brought the Soviets down, and it's going to bring us down. Because this is one place I would think the American people could come together left and right and say,